Before we start the episode, we would like to acknowledge that this podcast is recorded on the stolen lands of the Turrbal and Yagara people. We would like to pay our respect to the elders past and present and extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening today. Internationally trained, universally desired, and impossibly alluring, Stella Delure is a celestial beauty with the onstage energy of a supernova. Having entrapped audiences in her home of New Zealand, as well as Australia, Stella brings multidisciplinary dance expertise along with an unleashed passion that makes any audience her prey. She thrills, chills, and fulfills with Melbourne's smuttiest shadowcast, the Pelvis Thrusts, and is a sparkly showgirl with the Sugar Showgirls and shimmery burlesque. Stella was crowned the Apprentice Victoria 2022 AAPC Amateur Burlesque Beauty of 2020 and runner-up of Burlesque Rumble New Zealand 2024. Oh, and Burlesque Muse Melbourne 2021. She's quick, she's cunning, and she can't be caged. She's Stella Delure. Welcome back to the Burlesque Bulletin podcast. I'm your host, Honey Holloway, and today we are here with Stella Delure. Hello.
Thank you for having me.
How's it going?
Good, I'm good. It's very cold in Melbourne at the moment, so we're just cold, but pushing through.
Yeah, it's been freezing here. We're like not used to it in Queensland. I'm
Mm.
like wearing 3 layers and it's probably like a summer's day to some other people, basically.
Okay, not it. Not it. I'm not about the cold.
Yeah. I thought I hated, like I thought I loved winter more than I actually do. And when I'm actually in winter, I'm like, I do not cope well being cold.
I think like romantic winter is like the snow while you're like inside with like a coffee. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mm.
like you can see the rain, but you're like safe and warm in a blanket. And it's like I don't want to go to work. Like I don't want to have to be a real person in the winter. Like
Exactly. I do not want to have to leave my house in the
I
wind
know.
and like,
No,
yeah,
not it.
not
It's
good.
not it.
So before we get started into all the astrology questions, I love to ask my guest if they know their astrology sign.
I do. Yeah. So I'm Scorpio Sun, Aquarius Moon, and Aquarius Rising,
Oh,
which is a
double
really fun
Aquarius.
balance. Yeah, which is really fun. Fun little balance. So I do get quite spicy sometimes. Like that Scorpio is really fiery, but yeah, it's a nice little mix, I think.
I am a Scorpio moon and rising. So I'm like any Scorpios,
Oh,
I'm like, I instantly love you.
connect spicy. What's your sun sign?
Taurus. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, my chart is very, I would like to say balanced. It's not balanced. It's very like
Mm.
opposite. So Taurus and Scorpio are
Yeah.
very just those, or a lot of those, which is
I've got a lot of Scorpio and a lot of Aquarius. My Lilith sign is in Scorpio, which I think is like really draws me to burlesque. Like it's
Mhm.
very, very like spicy kind of sex-wise vibes, but I really love kind of using that um, you know,
In your
fire, if you
performances.
will.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
love
my chart's not
that.
balanced at all. Not balanced at all.
You'll have to send me your details and we'll have a look at your chart.
Mm,
Have you
love
ever
it.
had an astrology reading before?
Not like an official one. I've done a lot of research on it, just kind of myself.
Hmm.
Because it's so fascinating. Like I think once you really click into like it's often a good indicator of like, who people are and things like that. So, but I've never had a proper reading.
Well, I am an astrologer as well. So if you ever want a
Mm.
reading,
Oh my goodness,
but
exciting.
we can talk about all that stuff later, all the fun astrology stuff. Let's get to the fun burlesque stuff.
Love it.
So tell us about how you got into burlesque. Tell us about the journey of Stella Delore.
The journey, it's always a journey. So I started burlesque a long time ago now. I was performing with a cabaret group called Lads on Tour in New Zealand. And my background is in dance, and I was working as a dance teacher and kind of just performing with some dance troupes and things like that. And then a friend of mine created or brought to New Zealand a cabaret group, a cabaret troupe, cabaret show. And I was really fascinated by it. So I went and I was like, oh, I'll do, I could do burlesque. That sounds fun. And would basically do just like a hip hop routine. And then at the end be like, whoa, boobs. Or like, like a sexy jazz routine, the kind of things that people think are burlesque when they have no idea. I did a lot of that in the very beginning. Um, and then I was sick for one of the shows and I ended up not being able to perform in it, but I watched, once I recovered, I watched the show. And there were some people who had been doing burlesque, actual proper burlesque. And I watched them and I was like, oh, I love that. That's so cool. And then along the same timeline, a friend of mine and we won tickets to the New Zealand Burlesque Festival. So then we went to see that, and that had performers from all over the world. And I watched it and I was just like, it was just so magical to me. And so here I was like thinking I was like, Miss Burlesque big time. And then I really kind of saw burlesque and I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. Like that's kind of, what I'm really drawn to. So yeah, so I loved it. And then took a little break, did some travel, did some dance. I studied all over the world. And then when I was in um, overseas in America, I did a lot of kind of burlesque classes and things. And then when I got to Vegas, I watched so many shows, like anything I could get my hands on, I watched. I watched Cirque du Soleil, like just so, so much. They have a lot of topless review shows. And so I just like, as much as I could get my hands on, I watched. And then after I left and I went back to New Zealand, I was really like focused on it. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Like, I'm going to do burlesque. I'm going to be a burlesque performer. And so when I moved to Melbourne, I was just like so focused on this goal. And so I took a lot of classes. I just like applied for any lineup show that would have me. Like I would just like make my costumes. And I feel like I learned so much kind of through like trial by fire. Like I'd apply for a show and I'd get rejected. And I'd be like, okay, why did I get rejected? What can I do better? Like, or I'd go and watch a show and I'd be like, oh, that's amazing. That's what I want to do. How can I incorporate some of those, And I go to classes and I really was like doing very beginner burlesque classes and being like, okay, well, what elements of this am I missing and where are my strengths? And yeah, and that's kind of how it all started. And since then, I'm still, still doing shows, still, in lineup shows. I do a lot of ensemble work, which I love. I love like bouncing ideas off other people. So yeah, it's been a journey.
Amazing. So you're mostly doing burlesque now. Do you do any other types of dance still?
I do. I train a lot. I teach a lot of other styles of dancing, mostly kind of like jazz, hip hop, tap at the moment, which is really fun. But I love like burlesque always just has my heart. It always has my heart. I worked recently on an immersive theater event, which is cool because that's something I did a lot back in the day as well. Um, yeah, I really like did a lot of kind of like improvisation and like creating a character and then like fitting into a world based on that character. So yeah, I don't
Amazing.
know.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
a professional.
No, I think I just like I get so excited by it. Like I'm like, you put me on a stage and I shine.
Mm,
Like, that's really where I feel like the most at home and I feel like I'm like, I just love it.
amazing. So how did you come up with your name, Stella Delore?
Yeah, so one of the nights at the burlesque group, so it was called Lads on Tour, and we had a Lads on Tour show. And after the sh and I was still performing under my legal name at that point. And after the show, we went to a bar for a few drinks and to kind of debrief and chat through how everything had gone. And I was asking everybody, like I was like, oh, I think it's time. Like I think I'm ready now for like a persona, like a burlesque. It felt like a big special thing that I was like, doing for myself. I was like, I'm ready for a name. And like everyone had so many ideas and we were all just like throwing them back and forth. And I was like, oh, I really love like Luna. I really love the name Luna, but there were already two performers with the name Luna kind of in our troops, very common name. And so I was like, oh, well, maybe not Luna, but what about Stella? So instead of the moon, like the stars.
Mm,
And so Stella really stuck. And then we were talking about it and I was like, what about, instead of like there were so many names that were thrown out. I was like Stella Zambuca or like, like everything was like the bartender was giving us ideas. We were all just like, oh, it could be anything. And then we were talking about it, and it's like, well, Luna sounds like law kind of, and so we were like, oh, well, Del Law is a play on like a law and two law, and kind of that like idea of like the stars being mysterious, or like that, the alluring, but you're not quite sure why you're so intrigued. Like I really, so it kind of just stuck. So Stella's obviously a very common kind of burlesque name, and then Del Law I really liked because it's something a little bit different. And from the name, I feel like I've really built kind of a persona, like through that. So like I then had to, just after I created the name, someone was like, oh, well, like who's the character? And so I had to write like a character brief, I guess, for who Stella was. So then I was like, oh, well, that all like weaves back through now in my performance, like it really kind of fed into each other. So
I love
yeah.
that. I love that it was such a group effort. Like that's so Aquarius
It
vibe.
truly was. And it stuck. Like I've performed, yeah, Stella Delore, that name has been around now for like 10 years nearly,
Oh my
which is
God.
wild. So yeah, so even though I've like, even though I still sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm still such a newbie, but I like that name has really like existed
Mhm.
for a long time. So
Oh my gosh. So when did you start performing then? Was that 10 years ago? Oh,
I
earlier.
guess so, yeah. Because I did like it's funny. I count it kind of strangely because I count like so I was doing what I thought was burlesque much longer before I was actually doing burlesque.
Mm.
And so then for a long time I was like, oh, I've been doing burlesque for a long time. And then I was like, but if I count it from the day that I made like properly like worked on an act, created an act and made like a debut, I think that's about 10 years ago. But then I also took a break, like I guess I took a break in that time as well to just like do
Yeah.
whatever. So then when I came back to burlesque, I think that was about 5 years ago, 6 years
Oh
ago.
my God.
So it's like
I
I'm a real slow
literally
burn gal.
I literally thought you were 25.
No, I'll be 30 this year.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll be 30 this
I was
year.
like, wait, the math is not mathing. Like,
Yeah, how old? Who is she? Illusion. Scorpio Queen. Mysterious. No, I'll be 30 this year. But yeah, it's funny because people often ask, like, oh, how long have you been performing for? And I always just say, oh, like such a long time. Because I'm like, I don't know where to count it from.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
some days I feel like such a baby.
yeah. So if you could just describe Stella Delore in 5 words, what would they be?
Smutty, mysterious. Oh, that's too. This is hard. Why is this so hard? Smutty, mysterious, like gooey is always a word that comes to mind because I
Okay.
always feel like you've got to like get as much as you can out of a performance. So gooey,
Mhm.
there we go.
I love that.
Silly, I feel like I'm very silly a lot of the time. Um, oh, the word that's coming to my mind is dangerous. I feel like
Okay.
that's a very on-brand word, dangerous. You know,
Perfect. That's a perfect combination.
love it. So many opposites. Silly, goofy, fun, crazy.
hmm So, do you have a creative process? How does that work for you?
Yeah, I kind of do. It depends what I'm creating. Sometimes act ideas come really easily. And so I feel like I've kind of always got something like rolling around in the back of my mind. Sometimes I will create something specific for a show or for a troupe. So I work a lot with the Sugar Show girls. And so we will create a show and then create a solo that goes into the show. So the character and the concept often comes before the act does. Um, if I'm just creating an act, then I do a timeline. So a long time ago, I worked with Lila Lux, and we had a one-on-one session, and she's like, oh, I put my notes down in a timeline.
Mhm.
And so I was like, oh, that's a really great idea. And so I've used that ever since. And so I will map out like the music and I'll really get, I'll be like, oh, what do I hear? Or like sometimes I'll work backwards and be like, oh, I've got a beautiful costume that I want to put on stage. And then I'll search for that right piece of music or that right story or yeah, I don't know. It's everywhere. The creative process it just rolls in my brain and then comes out.
Yeah. I feel like that's the answer for a lot of people. You're like, well, with this act, it went this way, but this act, it was complete opposite. So,
Yeah. I teach a workshop on egg development, and
Hmm.
every time I teach it, so we basically start with a piece of music, and then
Okay.
we're like, oh, the piece of music is from this, era. So let's have a look at this era of burlesque. And I've got such a structure when I'm teaching. So I'm like, oh, once we've got that, let's throw some costume ideas out there. Great, you've got gloves, you've got a skirt, and you've got boots that you can't walk in, so we're going to take them off. Like, how do we put that together? And so I feel like if I was to give you the exact formula of my creative process in a neat and tidy way, it would be like that. But
Mm.
also, then I'm like, and then what about this? And like, oh, those shoes don't fit. I think
Yeah.
burlesque is always evolving. And so that creative process for me is always just like, what's vibing today?
Hmm. So, what
Yeah.
does a normal day look like for you? Do you do like burlesque or burlesque adjacent things all the time, or do you have a day job? What's the vibe?
I have a day job.
Hmm.
I have a day job, but so I work as a dance teacher and I also do education support. So I support students who have autism in
Hmm.
schools. I think dancing is something I've always done and will always do. So I work as a dance teacher and that's kind of my fun. It's like burlesque adjacent.
Hmm.
Um, and then burlesque is like mine, So like
Hmm.
I am obviously like a professional performer, so I do perform for income and I feel I'm usually pretty professional in terms of like how I show up, how I am backstage and at events and on stage. But I feel like I have the privilege of having steady work outside of that so that I can really just put my whole heart into burlesque sometimes and make
Yeah.
those decisions. I feel sometimes that's a privilege, sometimes it's not when we're all
Mm.
very busy. But yeah. Um, yeah. So
Yeah,
I do have a day job.
I feel like I can definitely relate. Like I have my day job and I've thought about, oh, do I want to be burlesque full time? And when I, get better, get there in the future, maybe. But I'm like, I think I just want it to be mine. Like I want it to be
Yeah.
like not for anyone else, not for like the consumer. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
really
everyone's
respect
different.
full-time performance. Yeah, absolutely. And I really, really respect if you have the like drive and the talent and the like if you know what I mean? Like I think if you have that hustle and
Hmm.
you're able to make it in such a beautiful community, but also it's a competitive industry in a lot of ways
Hmm.
like which is a good thing like it's healthy to have both of those elements to it. I think that if you are willing to do that and are able to do that and that is how you live your life, then I'm like go off
Yeah.
babe, like that's so cool and I really respect it. um but I have always been I'm way more multifaceted and I think that if I put all of my eggs into that basket and tried to do burlesque full time I just burn out. And
Yeah.
I really just I'm so grateful to be able to hold on to that little like love that I have
Mhm.
sometimes when I'm like the show is like what I'm looking forward to, or the like,
Yeah.
the creation of the act. Um, yeah. In saying that though, when I have worked on like larger scale shows, like Shimmery Burlesque, for example, and we do like, full days, full weeks rehearsals, you're in at 9 to 5, I'm so happy. I'm so healthy. I'm so happy. If I could do this forever, it would just be a dream. But,
Yeah.
capitalism. So,
Literally. So if you could share, rewind, if you could choose someone to share a dressing room with, who would it be?
oh, I don't know how to answer that question.
It's very hard.
Because do you mean like, I don't know. I love being in a dressing room.
Okay,
Like,
yeah. What's your vibe in the dressing room? Like, do you want to have a chat? Do you want to just chill? Do you need your space? Like, what's the vibe?
I feel like all of the things. Honestly, sometimes my favorite moments of being a performer are in the dressing room because I feel like you really connect.
Hmm.
And there's something so special about being like, oh, are my pasties even? Or like,
Yeah.
or like I talk to myself a lot. I am a real external processor.
Mhm.
So when I'm like, you know, we're about to go on stage, I'm like, do, 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 where's the things? Okay, here we go, got it now. Whoop, put that on, da, da, da. Like there's so much community and like love that happens in the dressing room.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know, all of the things. I like need to have a chat and help you with your pasties, and then I need to like, I love the like, oh, does anyone have a pair of scissors vibes? And
Yeah.
then if it's a competition dressing room, I think often there's a moment where everyone kind of locks in. And I love that because that sense of community isn't lost, but everyone's just like, nah, we're in this, let's go, let's do it. Like, I
Yeah.
just love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I
It's
think,
yeah, the atmosphere is so just like I don't know, like warm, but also it can be so
yeah,
different. Like everyone's
yeah,
just like
absolutely.
doing their own thing, but having a chat, but like we're all there for the same reason, like like
Yeah.
the love of burlesque. Like I don't know.
I did a burlesque competition in New Zealand last year, and it's called Burlesque Rumble, and it's a knockout style competition. So everyone brings three acts, and then two people are knocked out, the rest of us go through. Two people are knocked out, the rest of us go through. So you end up, if you get into the final round, you've done three acts.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah. So, and it ended up being the top three of us had shared a dressing room from the be so we were put into different groups, and our dressing room had the three of us that ended up being finalists.
Oh my God.
So the start of the night was like, yeah, babe, you look great. It was so chill and so fun. And then they kept announcing it was like the three of us moving through. And so we're like, okay, what do you need? What do I need? Are you ready? Like,
Mm.
yeah, it was amazing. And because during that competition, you get 5 minutes from the time they say your name, you get 5 minutes from when you need to be ready on stage. So it's like all hands on. It's like, I don't have scissors. Do you have scissors? I need tape. Let's go. What do you need? I'm ready. Are you ready? Like, let's. And it was so supportive and amazing. And then we ended up the three of us being the finalists. And it just like, we just like locked in. And I will like, it was so special. It was so magical and just like, yeah,
Oh, I
dream
love
dressing room.
that. People supporting other people, yes. We love
Yeah.
this, especially in a
And doing good.
competition. Like
Yeah.
it's what you really need.
Yeah. I think so too.
Lovely.
It was really cool.
If you could swap lives with anyone for a day, who would it be? And I'll caveat this because everyone's like, no, I don't want to swap lives with anyone. I love my life. I'm like, yes, I
I
know.
do love my life.
But it's just a day. I had I think it was who's, I think it was crap. I can't remember who said. Oh, it was Kitty Latour said that
Mhm.
she would. I think it was Kitty Latour. She said that she would be like Dita Von Teese, but like get all the emails from like all the shows and stuff, and then just like email
Right.
everyone and as Dita Von Teese and say, oh, you guys should hire Kitty Latour. She's great.
Stop. That's so
And then
good.
go back to her normal life and then get all these like emails. And I'm like,
Job
that is
inquiries.
literally the best answer I've ever heard.
Genius. That's actually genius.
So it could be
My,
something like that, but it could be anything.
I love that. My mind also went to Dita, but I think like not not Dita necessarily, like maybe Lily St. Cyr in her prime,
Oh, that's
right?
a good
Like,
answer. Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like there would just be something so magical about like everybody knowing your name and loving you and like you've created this world and like, you know, you'd just be in the dressing room and people would bring you gifts and you'd just get dressed and you'd be on stage and like I
You
think
get
that
paid like $10,000 for one performance or whatever it
to
was,
yeah,
even more back
to
in the
just
day
like
when
go
like
yeah. And you just get to wear beautiful gowns. And I know I'm really romanticizing this idea, but that I
yeah.
think would be,
Mm.
and I think as people, because I have a day job, I'm like, if I could just not have to worry about the stress or you know what I mean? And just
Hmm.
like be this beautiful, glamorous, and then like be on stage and then get home and just like put on just like a chiffon robe and like beautiful fluffy slippers and just like have a bubble bath and
Yeah.
like that's my answer. You
Yeah,
know.
that is a great answer. I love
Thank
that. I
you.
feel like I've got to change my answer to those questions because
What's your answer? Who would
well
you
I
be?
I I can't remember who I said because I don't know if you've watched or listened to Stripped Back podcast with Daisy Delight. Yeah. So I was on that one and I can't even remember what I said. Who did I say? I can't remember. But now I'm whatever the answer was, I've changed it. And I would love to be just anyone, even like Tempest Storm or Lily Sincere, like
Oh,
anyone during that time, because I just like I love the 40s, 50s, that
yeah,
era.
me too.
Like even before I did burlesque, I did pin up and I was like so heavily into that scene. And I would just love to be even an audience member. Like I don't even have to be on stage. Like I just want to be
Dream.
in the vibe. I just want to be in
Yeah.
the atmosphere. It's the 1940s. Is that Frank Sinatra over there? Could be like
Yeah.
crazy,
Love
you
that.
know?
I
Like
love,
that would
we've
be
really
my,
romanticized this idea, but I love it. I'm going
yeah,
to take
I'm
this
sure.
romantic version.
Yeah, exactly. Like I know a lot of the performers had to be there because that was the only way they were making money and everything like that.
Look,
And like,
yeah, problematic in its own right, but also
exactly. But
there is some magic there for sure.
exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we're going to go to a break and we will be back very soon with Stella Delua.
See you soon.
Hey burlesque baddies, before we step back behind the curtain, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here and listening and making the Burlesque Bulletin a part of your rhinestoning ritual and your ultimate guilty pleasure. If you're enjoying the show, please let us know. Leave us a little review on Spotify, a comment on one of our YouTube videos, or go support us over on Patreon. Every little bit helps keep the tassels twirling and the show on the road. Now back to the episode. Welcome back, everyone. We are here with the beautiful Stella Delua. Are you ready for your next
Hello.
question?
I am ready.
Okay, so what has been one of your favorite highlights throughout your burlesque journey?
Oh, I don't know. That's such a tough one.
I mean, you've done
I
so many incredible shows, so
I look, I just love it so much. I think Shimmery Burlesque is right up there for me. In terms of like such a large scale production. It's so beautiful. Like it's just amazing. So yeah, that's definitely up there for me. I think yeah, there's like a part of me that's like every time I get to perform, it just like feels like such a privilege. Like I still pinch myself a lot. Yeah. So yeah, Shimmery is a big one. Getting joining the Sugar Showgirls, that was a huge one as well. I remember like being so excited. Yeah, so that and then I don't know, there's so many.
that's a
There's
good
so many.
top two.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I really love competitions as well. So anytime I get accepted into like a big competition and things like that, that's always like, the heartbeat moments, I
Yeah.
guess.
You're like, oh my God, I've been chosen. Thank you so much.
Literally, which like I know it's like everyone's applied to be
Crazy.
here. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's very cool. So
For
yeah.
sure. So what about some not so great moments or some malfunctions on set, on stage, low light,
Oh,
stuff like that?
interesting question. I think like it's like any industry, right? Like you have good days and bad days. I
Yeah.
think there's definitely been times where I've like maybe walked off the stage being like, I don't know, it kind of, sometimes it doesn't feel like your best, even when you've tried to put your best on stage. Um, yeah, like I've gotten stuck in many a costume. I've watched footage back and been like, oh, that does not feel as good now as it felt then. Like, I think there's kind of all of those things that like permeate anytime. I think because performing is so vulnerable as well. Like we really put our whole selves out on stage, even on the you know, high glam days. Yeah, it's a very vulnerable art form, burlesque. So I think there's definitely been those moments where I've felt, maybe I haven't done my best or I've fallen on stage quite a few times. And that is always, um, you know, difficult, I guess. Like sometimes it can really throw you those moments. But I also think that like burlesque is always evolving. An act is always different every time you put it on the stage. So I kind of try and remember that, I guess, and just be like, no, it's okay. What can we learn from it? How do we move forward? Yeah. Yeah, I
Definitely.
think that's my answer. I've never thought about it like that, like the highlights versus the lowlights.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think we always like talk about the highlights, which is like great. And we love that. But
Hmm.
the reality is there's some like, obviously some hard times. some
Yeah.
struggles. Like nothing is
And
ever
we're
perfect.
so right, so true. And we're humans. Like, like maybe if something's happened in the day and then you've got to go on stage later, you know what I mean? Or like if you're not feeling 100% or like I get really anxious. I'm a very anxious person. So if I'm anxious about an act, if I'm debuting something new, often my expectations and my anxiety will win. And I'll, sometimes get a little bit bogged down in that feeling of like, oh, I really wanted it to go like this and it didn't. So yeah, but I think it's also remembering that like we are human and so those lowlights come from us. The vulnerability of the art form means that also we bring the bad days in too sometimes. So yeah, yeah.
Definitely. So what's a surprising lesson that you've had to learn or a challenge that you've had to overcome
Um,
throughout burlesque?
oh my gosh, so many things. Like, so yeah, all of the ones coming to mind are costume ones. Like,
Mm.
change the snaps out, change them out.
Yeah.
If your fasteners don't work, change them. They're
Mm.
not magically gonna work one day, babe. It's okay. Change it.
No wishful thinking
Um,
is going to change the situation.
no, if your shoes feel too high, they are.
Oh
Drop
God.
down a heel size. Like, it's okay. No one's mad at you if you have a shorter heel. Um, yeah, no one's looking. Like, what else? I feel like there are lessons like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? If you're not happy with your cut, if you're not happy with your music cut now, you're not going to be happy with it on stage.
Mm.
Like, I don't know. I guess they're all lessons.
What's some,
Also, like,
oh, yeah.
oh, I was just gonna say, there's always like, I feel like additional lessons when you compete as well,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, get it in front of as many eyes as possible.
Mm.
Like all of that stuff. There's also like, just because someone doesn't like your art doesn't mean they don't like you. Like you can be you know what I mean? Like it's like, yes, you are putting your whole self on stage, but remember, like, you're not for everybody.
Hmm.
And if you're creating something that feels genuine and authentic and like special to you, then like lead with that. There's all of those lessons, I guess, too. Like,
Mm.
yeah.
So what's some really good advice that you've received and some bad advice as well? Is there any that you sort of
Oh.
hold on to?
Um, my weirdest bit of advice, the weirdest piece of advice that I was ever given that like I always think of is if you're creating an act and I find that I like do a lot of this with my arms. And so Whiskey Falls, who's one of my mentors, she was like, "Oh, here, put these pamphlets underneath your arms and see if you can still do your act." And so I had to like do it while holding these like, you know, it was like a restaurant menu like underneath my arms. And I couldn't. Like I was like, oh, that cuts out 90% of the choreography. And she was like, yeah, so what you need to do then is be like, what am I doing this for? And what can I like, how can I use my whole body? I don't know. That's my weird one.
That's so
It
smart
actually works for me. Because it's the same, like if I'm teaching a student and they seem to be nailing it, but there's one bit that keeps getting stuck, if you make a tiny change, it can often like short circuit it. So one of the things that I'll do is I'll turn the lights off in the studio. So then my students have to be able to do it in the dark. Or like so another one that I've seen is that teachers will like change the song or speed the song up or slow the song down because then it's like you're really
though.
having to like click into like what you do remember and how it feels. So yeah, things like that can always help. Um yeah, that's the best piece of not the best, but that's one of the pieces of advice that I've, held on to is
Yeah.
like short circuit it. Like if it's not vibing, short circuit it. Um I don't know.
And what about
Is that
bad advice? Has anyone given you
Ooh.
bad advice or we love a backhanded compliment, those ones?
Yeah, look. I mean, maybe. A long time ago, someone told me that I'd be a better, like I should do drag rather than, like someone was like, oh, I don't know. Often I get the like, oh, you know, you, I'm trying to think of the exact situation. I shaved all my hair off one time. This is a long-winded story. I shaved all my hair off.
Hmm.
And she was like, oh, your acts are now really androgynous, so maybe you should do drag. And I was like, you can
Yeah.
do burlesque with a shaved head, babe. There we go. Maybe
Were
that's my worst piece of
they
advice.
were they like in the industry or friends or
Yeah. No,
oh
they were in the industry. Yeah. And I was like, that's a weird thing to say, but that's okay. But also, like, love drag, love it.
exactly. I'm
Don't
like
do
that
it, but I
could
love
be
it.
depending on the person who's saying that. I'm like, did they mean it as a compliment? Because that's an amazing
Yeah, and
compliment. Thank you.
yeah, and depending as well on the like the person that it was said to. I think some people will be like, "Oh, that's a good idea. I should lean more into that." But I was like, "What?"
Yeah, you're like, am I really expressive with my face? Like, would I
Yeah, I was
say
like,
lip syncing?
I don't know.
Like,
It was a weird. I was like, "It's is it because I have no hair?" Like you like I was like, "What? What a weird." Anyway, maybe
yeah,
that's my
that
piece
is
of advice.
an interesting one.
Yeah,
Not sure what was going on in that
backhanded.
person's head.
Yeah. I also get a lot. Sometimes people will be like, "Oh, you're really funny." And I'm like, sometimes it's like, thank you. I have intended to be silly and funny. And sometimes I'm like, do you just not like my work? And have instead of saying, I don't think this is for you, have said, wow, you're really funny. You know what I mean? Like
Like, are they saying it like after you do a classic act? Like, what is the
sometimes, yeah. Yeah. When I first started, I would get it a lot. And I think maybe that's why I lean into the like silliness.
Yeah. I mean, just take it as a compliment. I'm
Oh,
just
look.
like, I don't know
And we're not
what you're
for
saying, but
everybody.
I'm gonna take it as a compliment.
Yeah, I am funny. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Look,
the best compliment. If someone says I'm funny, I'm like, thank you so
thank
much.
you. I
I
know.
wasn't
I also
trying
ruin it.
to.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. I know some performers have gotten some really, really bad advice. You know, like you always kind of hear the horror stories of people being like, why have you made this choice? Or like, you know. But I also think maybe the good advice from that is like, you don't have to take it. You don't have to listen to it. Like, you
100%.
know, like it comes back to that. If you wouldn't ask someone for advice, like, why would you take their criticism? You know what I mean? Or like yeah, if you look at someone and be like, oh, I actually don't really want your vibe, or you're not for me, that's okay. You don't have to take everybody's advice. People are going to think what they want. Like, we're not for everyone. So,
Yeah, 100%. So
mm.
if you could travel back in time and talk to yourself when you started burlesque, what would you say?
Go to more classes, learn more things. I think this is such a baby burlesque thing to do where you roll in hot and you're like, I know burlesque, I do burlesque, I'm very good. Like literally my advice to myself would just be like sit down and shush. Like genuinely, I think that I had so much more to learn and I think if I'd really jumped into those opportunities sooner and like find a mentor, honestly, find a mentor because that when I first started asking people for help and like leaning on community more and being like, hey, this feels wrong, I don't know what to do, rather than being like, I should know how to do this because I've been performing forever, like my career like levels up so much anytime I ask for help. So that would be what I would say to myself is like, girl, shush. Girl, just like shush a little bit.
Yeah. And everyone brings like all my teachers, I know I've learned something so different from each of them that I never would
Yeah.
expect it have expected. Even like being a viewer of burlesque for so long and like knowing the history and stuff, still
Mm,
every single time I'm just like I learned something new and I'm like I would have
yeah.
never, you know. So yeah.
And I think there's this expectation to like know it all and to like, you know what I mean? To like hold all of the answers of like what is burlesque, right? And I think that had I been a little bit more willing in those early days to be like, well, I actually don't know,
Mm,
I'd love to like learn a bit or like, I think I would have same as you, like you learn so much from every different teacher. I think I would have been a lot more receptive to that had I kind of put my ego down
mm,
you know? And I also know now that there's just no room for big egos in burlesque. Like those are the
mhm.
performers that burn out and people don't want to work with them and. So I think like that's something that I would have really told myself back in those days is like it's okay to not know it. It's okay to not have to be the expert yet. Like you're just learning. Just like let yourself be a beginner.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, it's so important to remember like we're always learning. like as
Mm.
performers and stuff. But also on the other side of things, it's like you don't have to learn everything before you debut or like,
1,000%.
you
Yes,
know,
yes, so true.
because I think I got into that trap where I'm like, I just want to be the best performer I can be. So I need to learn everything before I even
Yeah.
start a class.
There's so much like magic that happens when you play. And I think that like often, and this is something that I've found, like perfect is the enemy of good. And the further I get into my career, the more that I really get stuck on that.
Mm,
So it's like, you're so right. Like, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know anything before you put it on stage. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like let yourself play, let yourself learn, and let yourself like make mistakes and be like, well, that's not right,
mm.
you know? Or like I've debuted acts and been like, that's not it. Like, well, that went differently in my mind. And then
Yeah,
I've taken it back and been like, okay, well, how do I want that to feel? What do I think that needs?
yeah,
Like, yeah, you're
definitely.
so right. You don't have to know everything before you're on stage.
Exactly. And I think like learning like on the job or, when you do the act,
Mm,
every single time you do a show, that is like learning, oh, how did my makeup look? Oh, it looked shit
yeah,
on stage, but it looks great in real life. Now I'm going to try this other thing. And like you just tweak
yeah,
it, tweak it, tweak it. And
yeah.
you won't know until you get on stage because it's so different from real
So
life
true.
in your
And
imagination and then on stage.
1,000%. And
Yeah.
in my imagination, every burlesque show I do is like the arena spectacular. Like there's a spotlight and there's confetti, and then this happens in slow motion. And I've got 17 backup dancers. And whereas like the reality is that maybe you're in a bar that doesn't have a stage, or like,
Mhm.
maybe you need to think more about like, oh, this act is going to be a little bit more intimate, so it's going to be a bit more roving. So the like big grand entrance doesn't quite work. What do I do instead? Or like, oh, it's actually, there's no way to enter unless you go through the audience. So that
Mhm.
takes out the first 2 minutes of, choreography. And instead you're going to hit this part here. Like, we just have to be constantly evolving.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so you're right. Like there has to be that room for play and that growth and that like, you know, how does it look in my imagination versus how does it look in real life? And how does it feel as
Mm,
well? Like, how does it feel on stage? Does it feel the way that I want it to? Is that energy dropping there? Like, how do I feel when I'm performing it? And is that what I want to create, you know?
definitely. So, do you deal with imposter syndrome and do you have any tips to
Oh,
have you?
yes, all the time.
Yeah, it never goes away.
Uh, I think the best thing someone ever told me about imposter syndrome is like everyone is an imposter. So like we all have a shot. We've all got a chance. Like if they're an imposter and they're like, doing well, getting a piece of the pie, I'm an imposter as well. Why should I not have equal opportunity? Yeah, the biggest way that I deal with imposter syndrome is going to watch burlesque. And I know that sounds really strange. I think often we get stuck in our own heads and like stuck in the social media version of
Mm,
what burlesque is and what people are doing. And like often the imposter syndrome for me is like, well, I'll never compete with that.
mm,
And so when I watch burlesque and I go to a show and I really like lean into community, I remember how magical it is. And I remember that everybody, like every performer is different, every burlesque act is different. Like people of all shapes and all sizes and all backgrounds and all loves and all everything are on that stage. So I can bring whatever I bring to the stage and it has a place there. Right? So it's like often I'm reminded when I watch a show that I'm like, that headliner is incredible and they are doing incredible things and they are bringing their full self onto that stage. And that's why it's incredible. And so I have the same, I'm allowed to do that too. Right? And I'm not saying that I'm like a headliner or, you know what I mean? I know that might sound like a backhanded way, but often that boosts my confidence to
mm,
be like, they are doing it and they are doing it because they love it and I love it, so I can do it too.
definitely.
Um,
And I think
yeah.
sometimes like seeing those headliners and being like, oh, they're a headliner. So, and they're perfect. They're like slaying, they're doing amazing things. But then you talk to them and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that was a shit performance. Or like,
Yeah.
yeah, like everyone has it. So it's like you just humble yourself a bit and you're like, okay, like I'm not the only one.
Yeah. And that like people that I'm like, you are an incredible performer who I idolize. you'll see them backstage or after the show and they're like, "Oh, hey babe, how's it going?" And they're just so chill and so human and like this, I love that as well. And so I think that's something that really busts me out of that imposter syndrome is it's like we're all just people trying to shake our titties on a stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's fine, babe, chill out,
Yeah. It's not that big
So
of a
yeah,
deal. Chill.
it's not, it's really not. And
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like life and death. And it's like the privilege of being out on that stage just like trumps it. So
Mhm.
take a breath,
What do you believe?
reset, remind yourself why you're here.
Yeah. What do you believe is your biggest strength when performing?
Hmm. Connection to myself. I think a
Okay.
lot of performance is often external. Um, and I think that there's something so magical about like drawing the audience in.
Hmm.
And I think that is done with like, often there's this idea of like, oh, I've got to be big and the best and blah. Whereas like I think if you really step into your power, that sounds so wanky, sorry. If you really step into like who you are and like remember that you're on that stage and you deserve to be on that stage, I think that's when I like connect to the audience more. Like I'm like, you can make eye contact with someone or you can like, yeah, really like draw them into the performance. I think that's something that I love doing and something that I excel at when I remember that I'm like, you know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
I get you. I get you. It does.
I can
Um,
hear my cat meowing and I'm
oh,
like,
she's
I'm
distracted.
like, wait, it's distracting. He's so sweet. Um,
Oh.
yeah, I think that's a strength. I love feeling like that too, you know.
I feel like, no, I totally get that because when you are just like fully yourself on stage and you don't
Mm,
think about the choreography or if it's perfect or whatever, you can just really like sink in and like deliver your best performance.
so true.
Yeah.
And one that feels good. One that like,
Exactly.
you know, yeah, I think that there's so much room to build tension and like create acts that feel big and also connective, if that makes sense. So I think like
Mm,
the audience really like they want to see themselves reflected. And so it's like if you're fully yourself and you're able to bring the audience into that, then I think that, you know, they're really going to vibe that. They're really going to get something out of it. So
definitely. So what's some weaknesses or stuff that you would like to work on?
I do this so much on stage.
Your arms.
My gosh, girl, hold still. I there's so much power in stillness, and I need to just remember that
Yeah.
sometimes. I also think that I always feel better on stage when I've performed and I feel like I've really given it everything. Like I do a lot of slow acts and I do a lot of really intentional acts. And so I think that sometimes I forget to like physically, use my whole body,
Mm.
except for this. I do a lot of this. But
It's
does that
your
make
favorite
sense? Oh my
move.
gosh, I feel like I'm rambling now.
No, 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 that does make sense. I feel like
Yeah.
we all have our like default moves or something when,
Yeah, that's it. There we go.
yeah, exactly. And like even I mean everyone always says I just wish I could slow down. Like so
Mm.
that's, you want to feel the space, fill the void with like
Yeah.
fun
And
movement.
trust. Yeah, and trust that you're like trust you can hold a shape. Trust that people are still watching you when you're moving slowly. Like trust that. Trust your body, trust yourself. Yeah, getting stuck in those like I do a lot of that too. Like I'm like, oh, the same moves will come out or the same if I panic about I've forgotten choreography or I'm stuck in a costume piece, I'll often do the same things to like, try and fill that space.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's like a really good way to put it. Is like we really need to kind of connect to, you know, trust herself more. That's my weakness on stage, is I don't trust myself. I'm panicking. The imposter syndrome's real. Anxiety's real. Oh,
Oh, so what's a goal that you have for the future? Is there any shows specifically that you want to do or any stages you want to definitely perform on? What's the big
hmm.
goal?
I'd love to travel a little bit more. I
Mhm.
really love, I've performed a lot interstate with Sugar Show Girls, and I've done over the last few years a lot more shows in New Zealand, which has been really amazing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's been so magical to just like, I guess like be on home country and perform, bring that whole kind of side of me back. But I would love to travel more. I'd love to go international more. I'd love to do more interstate things that are kind of solo shows. Um, yeah, that's my goal, I think. Yeah, over the
That's it
next few years is to really branch out a bit more.
for sure. Yeah, that's a good goal to have. I feel like being a showgirl, you're like the traveling is such a big part of it. Or like,
So
you
much.
know, the
Yeah.
top tier, you're like, oh my God, traveling showgirl, crazy. That'd be
And our legends did that. You know what I mean? Like our
exactly.
burlesque legends, they would tour, they would be sewing their costumes in the back of the van while, touring cities. And it was a very big kind of part of that was, not only the regular theater like residencies, that's what I'm wanting. Not only those residencies, but it was also like the traveling showgirl, the traveling circus girls. Like, yeah, you're so right. So there's magic in that too.
So we are going to play a little game. It's called
Mhm.
This or That. You just
Fun.
choose your favorite thing.
Okay.
Ready?
Mhm.
Rhinestones or feathers?
Rhinestones
C string or G string?
or G-string. There's a lot going on. You've got to be supported.
Agree. Neo or classic?
I'm gonna say classic. I know it's a fire round, sorry. I think we can subvert classic and it still be classic. That's
Mm-hmm.
my go.
Agree. Boa or feather fans?
Fair the fans.
Lace or leather?
Lace.
Tassels or assels?
Oh, okay. Love assholes, but tassels. Classic, standard.
Mm-hmm. Diamonds or pearls?
Diamonds.
Drag or burlesque?
For me personally, burlesque, but also I love drag so much. You
Mm-hmm.
can't have one without the other. You actually can't.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
genuinely cannot. Like, you cannot, honestly.
Stocking peels or stripper heels?
Stocking peels for sure.
Big stage show or intimate bar show?
Oh, I don't know. I love both. I've done both. I love both. There's magic in both.
Mm-hmm.
Both. I can't choose. I'm not going to. Because
Okay,
as
that's
a burlesque performer, you do both. You have to. Well, you don't have to, but
exactly. Yeah. And you're
you do.
really good at improvisation, you said. So,
I just love it. And
yeah.
I think you get that from an intimate show.
Mm-hmm.
You really get that from connecting with someone or like walking up and there's so many photos of me like licking the outside of someone's drink. And you can't do that in a big stage show, but you can in an intimate bar. You can hold that eye contact. You can go and have a chat with someone. Whereas big stage, there's so much presence. There's so much room for like sparkle and polish and just yeah. So both.
Cabaret or comedy?
Oh, I'm gonna say cabaret. I think comedy has so much room in burlesque. Yes to
Mhm.
comedy, always comedy. But I think that yeah, I think cabaret. I think cabaret.
Movie or a TV series?
Depends on the day. Probably movie. I
Hmm.
love a movie day. We're like snuggled up watching all your favorite movies.
What's some of, of your faves?
Um, I'm watching a lot of my sister and I are watching a lot of vampire movies at the moment.
Okay.
That's been fun.
Love that.
There's a movie called Only Lovers Left Alive, and they're very romantic, whimsical vampires.
Mm. Okay, I have not heard of
There we
this.
go.
This
It's
sounds
very good.
cool.
It's very slow. It's very like sappy, but I love that. I
Okay.
love a sappy film.
Early bird or night owl?
Kind of neither. I feel like I'm just tired all the time. My peak hours are like 10 a.m. to like 4 p.m.
I think have you ever done that like sleep, is it like a sleep quiz or like I can't remember what it's called, but it tells you like what type of person you are, like if
Yeah.
you're an early riser, like, night owl or
Yeah.
early bird, but then there's like wolf and lion and like I think the wolf is like likes to be up in the night and the lion is like from like 9 or 10 a.m. to like 3 o'clock. Like that's their
That checks out.
window. So I feel
Yeah.
like that might be you. I
I
feel like
think
I'm
my
the same.
Yeah. I think like my brain is sharper in the morning. And so
Mm.
I'm like I find that if I have lots of like mentally draining things that I have to do, I'm way sharper in the morning. Like my memory's better. And then at night, I'm way more like snuggly. But then I also like, I love like wandering around the city at night when
Mm,
there's still like people and you go and get like a meal at like 10 p.m. Like, I love that as well,
mhm.
So
Yeah.
like all of the things, both of the things.
Halloween or Christmas?
Halloween,
Of course,
always.
it's your birthday.
Mm,
What's
it
your
is my birthday.
what's your actual date?
Halloween.
Oh, so it is actually Halloween.
Yeah,
That's the best birthday to have. I'm so
it's so
jealous.
cool. I know, I'm so lucky.
S-
Yeah, literally on Halloween.
oh, so good. Sweet or savory?
Sweet
Red wine or white wine?
white wine. Unless it's cold and then red wine.
Okay. Cocktails or beer?
Oh, cocktails all the way.
What's your go-to? Do you have a go-to?
I love like quite smoky flavors.
Okay.
So yeah, so I love anything like gin based is really nice. I find if I have a sweet cocktail, then I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But if I have a really nice like, you know, something vanilla-y or smoky or a bit
Okay.
salty or a bit not like sour, but in those kind of like, deep dark flavors.
Moody vibes. Yeah. Have you
Moody vibes for sure.
have you ever tried mezcal?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that's like really smoky. I feel like
Mm,
something because that's the first time
yum.
anyone's ever said that they like a smoky cocktail. Usually it's like, oh, any
It's
sweet
like my
cocktail.
go-to.
But
Mm-mm.
that's yum.
Yeah, we had um we went to a bar once and they'd made like a custom cocktail for the night and it was amazing, but it was so sweet and syrupy. And I said to the bartender, I was like, do you have just like liquid smoke or a piece of charcoal or like I was like, can you add something to this? And that's all she did. She just added some smoke and she put like a salt rim around it and it was perfect. It was this like sweet berry, but then smoky and salty, and it just added so much more depth and it
Yeah.
was amazing.
Oh, so good. So
Mm.
what have you got coming up at the rest of the year or next year? Is there any shows that you can let us know about that aren't a
Mm.
secret?
There are some secret ones, which is
Mhm.
exciting. There's some projects in the works that are very hush hush, but will happen. I'm think I think next year probably, but there are some silent vibes. Lots of little hands working behind the scenes, which is exciting. A lot of hand beating happening behind the scenes. So,
Oh,
oh, my heart,
oh,
but it's good.
that's a mission, hand beating, Jesus.
Yeah. But it's also like, it's just so worth it. It really
Yeah,
is. Like, really taking the time to just like make this magic. So, yeah, that's kind of it. Lots of Sugar Showgirl things happening as well, kind of behind the scenes. Yes. It's
amazing.
all it's all quiet, but there's buzz.
I
There's
know.
some buzz.
It's so hard when you have like some exciting things and you're like, I want to tell everyone, but I
I know. And I'm not the best at keeping secrets. So
can't.
I'm like, it takes a lot to be like, no, I have a thing you'd really love, but I can't tell you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
watch this space. Watch this
Yeah.
space.
Well, where can everyone find you online if they don't already follow you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Stella_Del_lure. And then from there, you can find all of my links, all of my social media, all of my everything. So Instagram's usually your first stop.
Amazing. And yeah, we'll have everything in the show notes so people can find you really easily.
Perfect. That's so
But
exciting.
anyways, it was so lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
All right, bye.
Bye. Thanks, honey.
Thank you so much to our guest for being on the podcast and letting us take a peek behind the curtain of their lives. Thanks for everyone joining us, and we will see you in our next episode.